Okay, good evening, guys. I hope we're all good and we had a good day. So, we will be starting our class from where we stopped the previous week. And just as we usually do, if you have your tablet opened like this, just go to your file, open from Tableau Public, or you can just do Alt plus O and you open. So I believe we are used to this already. It should not be new to us. So I'll just sign in and pick my visualization. So I believe we are signing in as well from our end. So let's pick our visualization. Okay, so just as we know, in our previous classes, we talked about selecting the particular visualization we want to work on. Once you might have selected it, then we open it. So mine is being opened at the moment and it's open. So I have it here. So so far we started with some visualizations from sales by category, and we entered into profit by category, showing profit and showing loss on some of the products as well. Then we moved into the pie chart last week. And the essence of the pie chart is to show us the percentage of either profit, either sales, whatever it might be. The pie chart can simply tell us which of the region is giving us or is making more money or is making more sales, as the case may be. But for the scope of this, our analysis, we are working with sales, or for the purpose of this particular visualization, we're working with sales. And in our last class, we talked about how to bring the pie chart into our Canva and how to visualize it, how to work more on it by, for example, what we did was we brought in, or we changed our marks here. We changed it to pi. After we changed it to pi, then we brought in our region to color, we brought our sales to angle to help us split those angles, show how big the angle is equivalent to how much the sales is from that particular region. And then we brought our region to label. It labeled the pie, and then we brought our sales to label as well, to label the different region. And then we went further to changing the sales amount to percentage by doing a quick calculation. Then we formatted the visualization a bit to look more appealing to the eyes, and that is how we arrived at the pie chart. And then we further went into the donut chart, and we know that the donut chart is still more used compared to the pie chart. And of course, the donut chart is somewhat different from how we came about the pie chart. And what we did was we created a calculated table, and then after creating the calculation table, we then brought in the calculated table, which was 0. Then after changing our marks to pi, it gave us 2 pies, and we brought in our on our first 0, we brought in our region to color, our sales to angle, our region to label, and our sales to label as well. And after then, we went into the second pie. We just changed the color to white. And after then, we dual both axes. After we dualed the 2 axes. However, we did not do much of formatting on this donut chart, but I believe we are fast with the formatting thing because we've been formatting over and over and over and over and over again. Of course, we still keep formatting. It's one of the most important thing in data analytics. So with that, we rounded up our class for the previous week. So today we'll be going further into map. We'll be going further into map. So I want us to open a new workbook or a new worksheet, sorry. I want us to open a new worksheet. So now the essence of a map in visualization is to further give us clarity concerning our product. The essence of a map in visualization is to further show us clarity. If we want to see, or if you want to know to the last cover, how much is made in a particular state within a country, map helps us to get this information. And for the scope of this class, we'll be visualizing a map, and we will try as much as possible to work on the map. So I'll try as much as possible to take it as slow as possible. So now, when we want to visualize a map, you and I would agree that the major information we want to use is the location data, because in our location, under our location hierarchy, as we created hierarchy in our very first class, we created hierarchy, and then in the location hierarchy, we put our country, our region, state, and city. We put all of this information in the hierarchy. Now, the first thing we want to do is, when we want to create a map, we just drag the country, we bring it on the Canva, drag and drop on the Canva. Now, when you drop your country on the Canva, we should have something like this. So I want us to start working together now. So now, can somebody unmute and tell me, what do you understand by what we have on this Canva? What do you think? Just think about it. Look at this very first information. What do you think? What do you think? What can you say about this? Can somebody unmute and talk or answer? Anybody?
I think he highlights the geographical locations.
What? Can you come again, please?
I think he highlights geographical locations.
It highlights geographical location. In what sense? Do you care to expatiate a bit?
I think you can easily pinpoint whichever part of the map the information is coming from, or the data is being generated from, or something like that.
Okay. Thank you very much, Nusa. Any other person? Any other idea? Any other idea? Any other person? Okay. Now, when you look at this visualization, you would see that, fine, this is a world map, but there is a blue color on United States. As you can see Canada up above here. You can see Mexico below here. But there is a dotted mark on United States. Now, this is simply saying the whole of the country that this data comes from is from United States. Now, you would work with if you have a kind of data that comes from different countries, and the transformation of the data has been performed, that the consistency of the data is 100%. And the data comes from, let's say, Canada, Mexico, USA, United Kingdom, Nigeria. You would see that this particular blue circle will be on those places because it is just within the country. So this data is simply telling us that, okay, I am from United States. I am from United States. So now, when we now decided to, okay, let's decide to open up this data to region level, for example. Now, if you come into this country, you would see a plus right right before the country, this plus. If you click on it, don't forget the country, the region is inside the country. The state is inside the region. The city is inside the state. The postal codes, they are inside the city. So if you open the country, for example, it will go down to region, just like this. So now we would see that the dot has done what? It has increased. It has increased to what exactly? Does anybody have any idea? This dot now, it has increased to 4. What does it mean? Any other person? Any
It
idea?
has increased based on region.
Thank you very much. This dot has gone to the regions because from the country, we have entered into the region, and we have 4 regions in this particular data set. So now if I decide to bring it down to state, we would see that the dots continue to increase and increase and increase. So that way, it is going down into the different places that the data came from, just like this, just like this. So if we keep opening it, it will keep going down and down and down and down. Now, let's not forget, we are working with a particular types of region in this particular data. So one of the major first thing we want to do is, now this thing is in automatic. This mark, the mark is still in automatic. So let's go ahead and change it to map. Let's change it to map and let's see what we will have. We can see that it has now changed to map. And this is simply giving us the 4 regions. The 4 regions we have in this data set. It is simply showing us the 4 regions we have in this data set. But then let's bring it back to shape for the moment. Let's bring it back to shape for the moment. Now, if we change it to shape, we would see that the shape has actually changed from a kind of circle, a full colored circle, to a faint colored circle, right? So now, let's, for example, if you want to change the shape on the map, we can come into shapes and change it to whatever shape we want, for example. And if the shape we are looking for is not within these shapes, we can come to more shapes. If we come into more shapes, we would see more shapes. And we can, this is actually default. We can enter into the default button and change it to different shapes that we have. We have default, we have field, we have arrows, we have bars, bug tracking, gender KPI, and a lot of other types of shapes. But for the scope of this class, I'll leave it at default. I'll leave it at default. And let me select this star. If I apply and I say, okay. So now, since we have our map on shape, now let's try something. Let's bring quantity. Let's bring quantity to shape. For example, quantity to shape. Let's bring quantity to shape. Now, in a visualization like this, on the right side, we would see that the shapes, or the shape has taken different form. Circle means a particular number of quantities that was given. Square, a particular number of quantity, the plus, a particular number of quantity, and the X, a particular number of quantity. So now, if, for example, we just want to visualize we want to do a kind of visualization that we want to know the sum of quantities that was given in each region, we can simply just bring it like this, and we have our answer. We have our answer. We have our answer. Now, but then, let me remove quantity from shape for the moment, and I still have my normal map. I still have my normal map. Now, let's bring our profit to size. For example, let's bring our profit to size. Now, we would see that the sizes of these shapes, they become smaller. They become smaller. They become smaller as a result of the shape of this, the profit size, or let's say the profit margin from each region, or the amount of profit that was made from each of the region. If we decided to, or if we decide to open it up, we would see that it will show us more information, but then it might not be meaningful because we'll just be seeing different shapes and all of that. But if we close up our region back, it will become more meaningful this way, because the shapes, they are quite bigger than each other. We can simply tell by looking at West that, okay, West has 108 K in profit, East has 91,000. So we can simply say West is leading, followed by East, then followed by South, and then Central. I hope we're on the same page. Okay, moving on. So we are changing our shape back to map. Don't forget, we want to visualize the map, but we have to explore all of the avenues in visualizing the map. We have to explore all of the avenues. So now we've changed it back to map. We are back to map. And our profit is still on. Let me remove our profit and bring back our profit to size. Yes, we have our profit on size, just as we have it before now. Let us put an outline, a border in the map, so that it will differentiate where each of those regions, where they stop. If we give it a white border, for example, yes, let's give it a white border and say, let's say opacity, let's increase the opacity. Let's see. Okay, fine. We've given it a white border, and this simply shows us the end of each of those maps. It simply shows us the end of each of those maps, ranging from the biggest to the smallest. Now, instead of using this profit on size, we can do something else by bringing the profit to color. You can just move your profit. I'll Ctrl Z that. You can move your profit from here, where it is. You can simply move it as if you want to remove it, and then drop it on color. You can drop it on color, and then it further changes the color. But if we are not comfortable with the color that we have, then we can now decide to go into the color palette to change the color to something that will be more appealing, that would rather show the visualization proper. So let's click on the color palette. If we click on the color palette, we'll see color, or we can simply click on the color palette from here as well. We click on color and come to edit colors. If we come to edit colors, it is at automatic. Then we want to open up the palette. You can select any type of color that you want, but I want to look for custom diverging. I want to look for custom diverging. I hope I can say it. Okay. Custom diverging. Let's say I apply. For example, let me see what it will give me. Okay. And while I apply this color palette to my visualization, then we would see an advanced button here. This advanced button. Let's open it up and let's see what we have there. If we open up the advanced button, if we open up the advanced button, we can step the color. We can step it. And stepping it simply means that, it simply means when you, for example, we see that in this particular color, we can see that on this part of the color that looks brownish, we would see that 39.706. And we'll see that this part of the color that looks bluish, 108.418. But usually, if we want to say something is not, okay, if we want to say something is not really giving us a kind of, for example, we are not getting the profit we want, it has to be in red. So we can even click on this color, this particular color, and change it. For example, we can click on it and select red and say, okay. So we know that anything that looks like red is actually a loss. Then we can come into this, we can come into the stepped color. If we click on it and step it 6 times, if we step it 6 times, for example, now we would see that there is this particular blue. We can change it as well, make it a more lighter blue. We say this particular blue. Now, when it starts to change, to red, we know that that particular place is not making much sales or much profit. Now, we would see something like start, end, center. We'll see something like start, end, and center. Now, we can see that the start has put a particular amount and the end has put a particular amount, but we can click on the center and say, okay, let the center be 0, for example. We can say let the center be 0. Now, when the color palettes take effect and it's moving and it's moving and it's moving and it gets to a place that is not making much more money. For example, we would see that we know that the highest profit was 108,418, and the lowest is around 39,000 thereabouts. Now, if we click on the start and change, you can actually click on the start and change the amount that is in the box. We can even bring it out to as low as 20,000. So as low as 20,000. Now, if we click on apply, you will see that it has affected our visualization. But because the profit is not really around 20,000, that is why we do not have much of red here. But if we open it down to the states, the red will take effect. Let's visualize this now. Let me click OK and say, okay, let me come to country. To state rather, we can see that some of the states like East is around minus 16,000, minus 12,000, minus 6,000, minus 3. -1. So this has given me a threshold of how to set the amount in the advanced setting. So then I'll now go back to my color, just as we left there now. I'll go back, I'll edit colors, I'll come back to my start. I can now say minus 2000. For example, if I click on apply, I'm sure we would see the effect. Yeah. But if I close it back to region, it is not giving me what I want. It is still not showing that red kind of a color. So I can still go back into the color palette and still change it. So I can now say, let me say 39,000. Let me say apply. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. Let's apply and see. So now, if I now open it down to the state, or let's say even to the city itself, the city is more crowded, but I can just leave it at state. I can leave it at state to show that whenever the stakeholders see any color that looks like red or pink or orange, then they know that it is a minus. It is not making profit from that particular region or from that particular state. Because even when the stakeholders want to get information about which region, they still want to know which particular place is not giving the organization what the organization wants. So I hope we are together. So now, going forward, we can then now decide to label. We can put a label. Let's bring our state to label. Let's bring our state to label. If you drop our state to label, it will label each of those. It will label each of those countries. To label each of those countries, or each of those states rather. Okay, so I'll bring back my state to label. Now, when I have information like this, before we even come to formatting, we can then even bring our profits. We can label our profits. For example, bring the profit to label. So this will help us visualize how much of a profit is being made from each of these states. But don't forget, we have not formatted anything. It is just in its raw form. It's just in its raw form. Now, when we hover around the map using our cursor, we would see some 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll see some 5 buttons just beside. We have the zoom in button. We have the zoom in button. We have the zoom in button. If you double click, it will zoom in. If we zoom in, you can zoom in, you can zoom out. You can zoom in, you can zoom out. Now we have the reset map. We have the reset map just here. If you click on it, it will set the map. It will fit the map to the Canva. Now, there is this particular button, this pan button we have just below. if you move around, we have the zoom area, we have the pan. The pan, if you click on the pan, if we click on the pan, and you can move the map around. When you click on the pan and you hold your cursor, and you can carry the map around. That's what the pan button is for. Now, if we further go into it and we select the rectangular shape, the rectangular shape is for selection. As you can see, it's more of highlighting. Let's say I want to highlight just this part of the map. If I click on it, it will highlight just that part for me. So highlight just that part alone, just that part. It will leave out the rest. It has not deleted them, but it will just be there. They will just be there. But of course, if you click back, we would have our information just back into how it used to be. Yeah, and we are back. Now, if we come back, there is the radial selection. If you click on the radial selection, and you select, it's more of a radial sign kind of. If you select, it comes out as more of a circle and it expands. So just as we have the rectangular selection, we have the radial selection, and it's more of the same thing. Now there is the last one, which is the lasso selection. If you click on the lasso selection, it's more of a zigzag selection. If you do something like this, you would have just, let me redo that. Let me take that again. If you do, let's say I do something like this, it will only just select that portion for me, that portion. So it's simply put, all of these buttons, they select a certain area of the map for you, but in different formats, in different formats. So we have these buttons to help us move around the map. So we have constructed the first map. Now we're going to do another map using shapes. We are going to visualize another map using shape. So I want us to open another worksheet. Let's open another worksheet. So I believe we have all opened another worksheet. So just as we did the other time, we want to bring in our shape into the Canva, the country into the Canva, and we want to select the automatic to be shape this time around. Now let's open it down to region. Then we can come to select the type of shape we want. Let's say we'll select this shape. So we've selected the type of shape that we want. Now we can come into this size. The size simply help us increase the size or reduce the size. That's what the size does. If you did not put anything into the size, for example, if you did not put the profit into the size, if you did not put the sales into the size, and you have something that looks like shape or any visualization, if you come to the size to try to adjust it, it will automatically affect the size of whatever you have on your Canva. It will automatically affect whatever you have on your Canva. Now, so let's bring in our profit to size. We're working with profit tonight. Let's bring our profit to size. Then we can even bring our profit to color. Then we can decide to change the color. So edit colors, just as we used to. Let's look for custom diverging. And I can change this to red, for example. Okay. So having changed that to red, okay, we have something more appealing. I can still go back to the color to edit the colors, change my blue to a more lighter shade of blue. I say apply. Okay. I want to believe we're on the same page. I want to believe we're on the same page. Now, one thing I want us to understand is shape. Shape work with sizes. Okay, 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐶𝐄𝐂𝐓 says no. Shape works with sizes. Shape. I want us to understand that shape, it works with sizes. Shape works with, it works better, shapes. It works better with sizes. I mean, when it comes to increasing the size, decreasing the size, giving the size a color, or changing the color, so to say. So it works with different sizes. So we've dropped our profit on color. Then we can now decide to say, okay, let's look for, we've dropped our profit on, okay, now let's bring in our what's it called? Our region on label. And then we can bring in our profit to label as well. I'm bringing our profit to label. Then we can now decide to go and format our visualization. 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐶𝐄𝐂𝐓, I'll come back to you if you have any question. So let's go to format and we select our field. First thing first, we want to select our profit. Some profit. We want to work with the numbers. Click on the number. We go on to currency custom. We select currency custom just as we used to. We bring out the decimal. Our display unit, we change it to case, to 1,000. Well, I'll be using dollars. You can use pounds. You can use whatever currency prefix or suffix you want. We can then click out of it. Now, if I now come back to field and I come to region, don't forget, I used to tell you, whatever you want to format, you have to select it from the field area, because the field area would have housed everything you have done. It would have housed everything you have done. We'll come back to region, for example. Let's see, let's try to see if we can format it. The font size, the font type. Let's say we select Tableau semi-bold. I hope it works. Okay, it's not working then. Just like the last time, if it is not working, we have to come to this A button. That is simply font, the font button. If you select the font, then we'll come to our pane, just like I mentioned in our previous class. I've mentioned this before. If you try to format a particular visualization and it's not formatting, you have to come into the font button or the font pane, which is the A. The button after it is alignment button. Then the button after it is shading. Then next to it is the borders, and next to it is the lines. But we are coming into the font to format the pane, because that is what we actually need. If we click on the pane, select the font type, I'll change it to Tableau semi-bold. You would see that it has actually taken effect. And we select a type of darker shade of black, and let's say we increase the the font size, and we say okay, and we click out. Now, if you now come back to this shape and change it to map, this is what we should have. This is what we should have. Then you can come back to the the formatting. Then we can increase our font size to something bigger. Can increase it to something bigger. We can remove the bold, but we don't necessarily need to give the region names. We don't necessarily have to give them color because the map is colored already. So let's say we want to leave this at just what it is. You can decide to italic it, underline it as you want, but they really are not necessary. They really are not necessary. If you change it to white, let's see, is white more appealing? Is white more appealing? If we try to reduce the font size, let's see, and let's bold the white color, and let's see what we will have. Okay, let's leave it at white. Let's leave it at white. Now, with this, we have visualized the map in two different ways. Two different ways. However, we did not format the first map because it's kind of looking off because we have all the states. But if we close it up, we should have something like this. We should have something like this. Should have something like this. Should have something like this. So now, but this is more appealing. This is more appealing because it shows the sizes or the different sizes of the profit, the profit amount. Shows the profit amount from each part of the region. If we decide to break it open, we should have something like this, but then I think it's still okay this way. So from what we've done so far, does anybody have any question?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay, please go ahead.
So when you started and dragged the country to your Canva,
Yeah.
then you went to the region, you went to the country to create the region. And I did that. I wasn't getting, because I saw the focus on US as a country, but it didn't show me when it came to the regions.
Okay, if I get you right, you mean you brought in your country to the Canva just like this,
Yes.
and you have US. Did you try to break it down from this plus that is?
Yes, I did. And it didn't show the different regions.
It didn't show the different regions with a
No,
sign like this.
no, it didn't show you see how you have the Alabama dots and yeah, it didn't show the dots.
It didn't show. It didn't show. It didn't show.
And rather, my region is giving me Saudi Arabia, Orgia, Egypt. It's not giving me regions.
And I hope you have not hope you've not like zoomed out of it. You didn't zoom out of it.
No, 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 no. I can even take it back and do it again.
Because you should actually have the same thing. Does any other person has something different or apart from what we have? Does anybody have the same issue with Ijoma? Anybody? Anybody? Okay, so I want to believe it's only Ijoma that is having that issue, I guess. Okay, okay. Ajayi Dokas, thank you for your response. Okay, so Ijoma, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? You're supposed to have this, this, this. Um, can you stop recording, please? Can you pause the recording, please?
Yeah, so I can take this
Remove
out.
everything first. Remove everything first.
Yeah, this is the country. You can see the country.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I try to do the region. So that's what it's giving me.
Okay. Come to where's your region? Okay. Come to the automatic. Change it to shape. Let's see.
So I tried to do that when you were talking. It's not doing anything on that. Every
Wait.
other thing I do does not display on the map.
The first map we visualized, do you have that?
It's the same thing. I had to leave that one and
Now,
said, okay,
can you
let me
go back
start
to your
again.
previous visualizations? Go to your sales by category, let's say. Can you expand your category to subcategories? No, no, no. Come to your category above. Yes, above. On your columns. Yeah, click on the plus. Okay, go to profit by category, let's say. Okay, click on profit by percentage. Go to your profit by percentage too. Now go to the next sheet.
That's the one that's
Okay, now let me ask you a question. When we created the region from states, did you do that?
now,
What?
today. Is
No,
it
no,
today?
not today. In our very first class.
I
Okay,
think
you
I
know
should.
what? Um, click on region. Come to your region here. Come to the region. Yeah, click on the drop down in front of it. Yeah, click on it. Come to geographic role. Come to create. You see create below.
Create from.
Yeah, click on state. So that's the problem.
Oh, okay.
So it means that when we were creating the hierarchy, you created the hierarchy, but if you remember that the data type of the region, it wasn't a location kind of a data type. It was a string data type. It
Yeah,
had A, B, C.
yeah,
So what we did was we now created the region from the states so that it can become a location type of a data. Do you understand? So that's
yeah.
because you did not do the geographical, that is why it did not give you the expected result. So if you go
Okay.
to your sixth sheet now, you should be working now too. Go to the sixth sheet.
Yeah.
Now
Thank you.
come back to your fifth sheet before you go. Come back to it. Now,
Yeah.
just change your automatic to map. Now, move your region to color. No, don't move it from there. Leave that one. Move it again from the outside box. Move it again from under the location. Yeah, your region yeah. Go back to your no, not from here. The other place you wanted to. Yes, move it to color. No, you drag and drop. Okay. Then you can move it to label again. This region again. Then bring your profits to label. Your profit is still below. Yeah. So you can now open up the region from the max, just the region below. No, not that one. The very last one under country. Yes, open it up using the cross. No, the plus. No. The plus behind the region. So you can close it back. So it means everything is fine with you now.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, you can stop sharing. No, just stop sharing. Just click on stop sharing. You see it just below
Yeah,
just beside your share button. Okay, thank you.
thank you.
You're welcome. So, do we have any other question before we call it a wrap tonight? Because from our next class, we'll be entering into calculation. We'll be entering into calculation. So, does anyone have any question? Any question? Any question? Any question? Any question? So okay, so I believe we are fine then. We should have this. We should have the three, well, not necessarily three, but this is just an empty map. And this is a map with an information. And here is a map with the different profit amount of each state. So does anybody have any question before we call it a wrap? Before we call it a night, does anybody have any question? Okay, in the absence of none, I believe we do not have any question, and I hope we all understand what we did tonight. I hope we all understand, because if we can understand the basics, it will be easy to understand the computation part of it, because from our next class, we'll be going into one or two calculations.
But
What?
yes, this Winfred talking. Please, the spreadsheet you sent on the platform last time, or on the chat last time,
You don't have access to it?
it wasn't working on mine. I don't know
How
why
so?
it's not working.
How so?
I don't know.
So how are you able to follow the class?
I'm just following what you're doing, but when I
Click on Microsoft Excel. Yes. Do you know where you downloaded that data? Do you know where it is?
Yes.
So where is the data? Okay, click on it, double click, just double click, or you can click and open. Yeah, you see, are you sure you have Excel on your laptop? Yeah, close that, close it. I think that's reopen. Okay, let's see. Probably could not connect to data source. Okay, can you try to, you know what? Delete that data. I just shared the data in the chat box now. Can you download that? Because I don't know why it's not working on your Tableau? Have you seen the data? I shared it in the chat box. Hello, Winifred, have you seen it? Winifred, are you there? Hello, Winifred. Winifred, can you respond? I can't hear you. Are you able to download the data from the chat box? Yeah, what? I can't hear you. You are breaking. You are really breaking.
I think the mouthpiece of his system is having an issue. I think so.
Okay, I can hear, but I can hear you now anyway.
I can barely hear him.
Oh,
Can you hear me now?
yes, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Can you
So-
download the data from the chat box? I shared it some minutes ago.
This is what I'm saying. This is get shared again. I'm different.
Okay, I cannot hear you. I can't hear you. I don't know how we can do this. Okay, can we do it this way so that we do not waste other people's time? I will tell Olawumi to arrange a meeting between you and I so we can get it sorted. Is that fine? Is that fine, Winifred?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll speak with Olawumi and she would send a message and I would get across to you. We would get it sorted if that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, so that we do not delay other people. But it's not going to be a big deal anyways. But please download the data. Delete the previous one. Download the new one, please. It's still the same thing, but download the new one. And we'll take it up from there. Thank you. Please stop sharing. But it's not going to be a big deal anyways. So I'll get in. Sorry, what's your full name? Can you type in your full name in the chat box so that I can pick it, please? Please kindly type in your name inside the chat box so I can pick it and I'll forward it to Olawumi. Then she will take it up, please. Okay, thank you. You can stop sharing now. Damisola, I think you can stop recording.